Everyone teaches manifestation as a forward-moving process. Visualize what you want, attract it, then achieve it. It sounds logical, almost mechanical. Set an intention, picture the future, work toward it, and eventually it arrives. But quantum manifestation flips this entire model upside down. You don't manifest from desire, you manifest from outcome. You don't move toward the future you want, you live from the future that already exists. When you understand this reversal and apply it correctly, manifestation stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like inevitability. You've probably heard the classic advice countless times. Clearly visualize your goals. See every detail as vividly as possible. Feel the emotions you would feel if you already had what you want. Coaches, teachers, books, and videos repeat this formula endlessly. Maybe you've spent hours imagining your ideal life, your dream job, a loving relationship, financial freedom, radiant health. You've closed your eyes, repeated affirmations, and tried to maintain positive emotions, believing that if you just felt it strongly enough, it would materialize. And yet, despite all that effort, something still feels off. The goal remains just out of reach. It's as if you're constantly chasing a mirage, always close enough to see it, never close enough to touch it. This is where most manifestation teachings quietly fail, because they miss an uncomfortable but crucial truth. When you visualize something as a future goal, you reinforce the gap between yourself and what you desire. Think about that for a moment. Every time you try to feel abundant, loved, or successful, but still perceive it as something you don't have yet, you're energetically confirming its absence. Even if your affirmations sound positive on the surface, your deeper state says, "This isn't here yet." And the quantum field, which mirrors your dominant frequency with ruthless precision, reflects that back to you. More distance, more waiting, more frustration. The harder you try, the more you confirm lack. Quantum manifestation changes everything by removing that gap entirely. It doesn't ask you to pretend that something will happen someday. It asks you to place yourself directly inside the outcome now. Instead of wanting, you shift into having. Instead of hoping, you assume. You think, feel, and act from the end state, not toward it. This distinction is subtle, but it's everything. It's not about imagining a future result. It's about experiencing the end state as your present reality. Quantum manifestation doesn't operate in a straight line. It doesn't move from past to present to future. It works backward, from outcome to origin. Imagine watching a movie starting from the final scene instead of the opening credits. You see the resolution, the clarity, the happiness at the end. With that knowledge, every earlier scene feels different. There's no anxiety about how it will turn out. You don't doubt whether the hero will succeed. You already know the ending. The tension dissolves because the question has been answered. When you start your life from the outcome in the same way, your internal state shifts profoundly. Anxiety fades, urgency dissolves, doubt loses its grip. Why? Because there's no longer uncertainty about whether it will happen. In your nervous system, in your emotional body, it's already done. You're no longer waiting for proof. You're living from completion. Quantum physics supports this perspective in ways that challenge our everyday intuition. Experiments at the quantum level show that time is not as linear as we experience it. Past, present, and future coexist as probabilities. Observation and state of being influence which possibility becomes actualized. When you consciously choose to embody a specific outcome, you collapse countless potential timelines into one dominant experience. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you want to become. It responds to who you are being right now. Desire, at its core, implies distance. It says, "I don't have this yet." Outcome implies presence. It says, "This is already mine." Desire keeps you reaching. Outcome places you in receiving. Desire creates tension. Outcome creates coherence. From a quantum perspective, the universe doesn't deliver what you desire, it mirrors what you embody. And embodiment doesn't require waiting for external confirmation, it requires internal alignment. This is where the practical application begins. To manifest backward, you stop visualizing your life from the outside, like a spectator watching a future version of yourself. Instead, you step inside the experience. You ask different questions. If this outcome were already true, what thoughts would feel natural right now? What decisions would I make without hesitation? How would my body feel? How would I move through the day? The moment you ask these questions honestly, something shifts. Your nervous system relaxes, your perception sharpens, your emotions stabilize. You stop scanning the environment for signs that it's coming, because on an internal level, it already has. And this changes your energetic broadcast completely. You're no longer signaling lack or longing. You're signaling wholeness and sufficiency. You're not chasing reality, you're aligning with it. Here's the beautiful irony of quantum manifestation. The moment you stop needing your desire to show up, it often does. When timing no longer matters because you're already immersed in the feeling of completion, manifestation accelerates. The quantum field doesn't require effort, struggle, or obsession. It requires congruence. The secret isn't wanting something intensely enough. It's releasing the need for it by fully occupying the emotional and mental space of already having it. This is why some people seem to manifest effortlessly, almost as if life bends in their favor. They're not luckier, more spiritual, or more disciplined than everyone else. And they're certainly not trying harder. In fact, they've learned how to do less. They relate to their desires differently. Instead of holding them as missing pieces, they treat them as existing realities they've already stepped into. Traditional manifestation methods often encourage affirmations like, "I want abundance," or "I want success," or "I want love." On the surface, these statements seem positive, but beneath them lies a subtle message: "I don't have this yet." Each repetition reinforces that absence. The quantum field, which responds to your dominant state rather than your words, mirrors that lack back to you with precision. Quantum manifestation reveals a paradox that changes everything. The universe is not responding to what you want, it's responding to what you are. If your baseline state is wanting, the universe confirms that state by giving you more experiences of wanting. Fulfillment remains just out of reach, not as punishment, but as reflection. Now consider the opposite approach. Instead of focusing on what's missing, you align with what already exists in the quantum field. Because here's a truth that both science and experience increasingly support. Every possible outcome already exists as a potential. Every version of your life, every relationship, every level of success is already encoded as information. You're not creating something from nothing. You're tuning into a frequency that's already available. Imagine the quantum field as an infinite library. Every possible version of your life exists as a complete book on its shelves. You don't need to write the story from scratch. You don't need to struggle through every chapter. All you need to do is choose the book, open it, and start reading it as if it's already yours. When you do that, your thoughts, emotions, and actions naturally begin to match the storyline you've selected. This shift from striving to selecting is the difference between exhausting effort and effortless alignment. When you assume the outcome already exists, your energy changes instantly. You move from "I lack" to "I have." And the quantum field, true to its nature, reflects that state back to you, not as magic, not as wishful thinking, but as resonance. What you hold energetically, you experience physically. Manifestation, then, is not about forcing reality to comply with your desires. It's about becoming the version of you for whom the desired reality is normal. When you live from the outcome, the path rearranges itself beneath your feet. Opportunities appear without strain. Decisions feel obvious. Resistance fades. And what once felt distant begins to feel inevitable. This is the reversed flow of manifestation. It's elegant, precise, and quietly powerful. And once you experience it, you realize you were never meant to chase your dreams. You were meant to step into them first and let the world catch up. Think about it this way. Manifestation isn't about convincing the universe, negotiating with fate, or earning your desires through exhausting effort. It's about recognizing something far more empowering, that reality is malleable, responsive, and constantly shaped by the state you occupy. The people who manifest with ease understand this at a deep, embodied level. They don't chase desires like prizes hanging somewhere ahead of them. They choose outcomes like destinations that already exist, then become the version of themselves who lives there. And by doing so, they collapse the quantum wave of possibility into a concrete, tangible experience. This is precisely why effortless manifestors often appear calm, relaxed, and quietly confident. They don't force outcomes because they've internalized one simple truth. Forcing implies doubt. And doubt is resistance. Resistance is not just a psychological obstacle. It's an energetic signal that says, "This isn't here yet." It carries tension, urgency, and subtle fear. And that signal delays manifestation because it keeps you in a state of separation from what you claim to want. True quantum manifestors don't try to make things happen. They align with the version of themselves where the outcome is inevitable. Then they watch as life reorganizes itself around that coherence. Not because they are passive, and not because they never take action, but because their actions are no longer fueled by lack. Their actions arise naturally from certainty. They move like someone who already belongs to the reality they've chosen. Let this sink in deeply. Your ability to manifest doesn't hinge on willpower, hustle, or how perfectly you visualize. It depends on internal alignment with the end state you desire. It relies on your ability to stop reinforcing "not yet," and instead stabilize your energy in the vibration of completion so consistently that your body, mind, and emotions stop arguing with each other. Because when you genuinely assume the outcome, when your emotional state matches your chosen reality, the universe has no choice but to mirror it back. This realization can change your life because it frees you from chasing dreams with anxiety, urgency, or desperation. It releases you from the need to prove worthiness or push harder to force results. Instead, you choose your outcome, stabilize your alignment, and let what feels like miracles flow into your life with surprising ease. And as profound as this understanding is, it's only the beginning. Because the next leap is even deeper, shifting identity, your state of being, so manifestation becomes as effortless as breathing. You'll start to see why changing who you're being is infinitely more powerful than changing what you're doing. That's where the real transformation happens. But before we go there, pause and let's go deeper into the science behind why backward manifestation isn't just a spiritual idea. It is a quantum reality rooted in physics. This isn't merely theory or wishful thinking. At the quantum level, all potential realities coexist simultaneously. Every version of your life, from the most ordinary to the most extraordinary, exists as possibility within the quantum field. You're not creating your future from nothing. You're selecting which reality you're going to experience. That one shift in understanding changes everything. Because if every outcome already exists as potential, you don't have to strain, struggle, or make it happen in the way you've been conditioned to believe. Your primary task becomes much simpler and infinitely more elegant. Align with the reality you desire and allow the unfolding to match your alignment. In other words, you become a tuning fork rather than a construction worker. You become resonance rather than effort. Traditional, forward-thinking manifestation encourages you to build your desires like a structure, brick by brick. You visualize a goal, plan the steps, and push forward. There's nothing inherently wrong with effort. Effort can be meaningful, and action matters. But the linear model often carries a hidden energetic cost. It frames your desire as distant, as something you're moving toward but don't have. That perpetuates the sense of separation, not yet, and the quantum field, acting as a precise mirror of your internal state, reflects the same pattern back to you. The more you broadcast distance, the more life confirms distance. Quantum manifestation reverses this. Instead of pushing reality into existence, you become the gravitational center that pulls the desired reality toward you. You're not chasing an outcome, you are magnetizing a timeline that already exists. And the difference between chasing and magnetizing is the difference between exhaustion and ease. In quantum physics, everything boils down to resonance. If your energy consistently broadcasts "not here yet," the field reflects delay. But if you vibrate with certainty, gratitude, fulfillment, like your outcome is already here, the field matches that frequency and reality collapses accordingly. This is beautifully echoed in the quantum principle, often described as the observer effect. Subatomic particles exist as waves of possibility until observation or measurement collapses them into a specific state. Whether or not someone interprets this metaphorically or literally in daily life, the practical insight remains powerful. Your consistent focus and dominant emotional state determine what you repeatedly select from the field of potential experience. You, as a conscious observer, are doing this continuously. Your attention is not neutral. Your emotions are not random. Together they form an energetic instruction. If you observe your life from a state of absence, scanning for proof, feeling behind, waiting for permission, you collapse experiences that confirm absence. But if you observe from fulfillment, steady gratitude, calm certainty, an identity that already belongs, you begin collapsing experiences that confirm having. This is why people who master quantum manifestation seem effortlessly magnetic. They don't chase anything. They anchor into the energetic truth that what they desire is already theirs. Not in a delusional way, but in an embodied way. Their inner world stops arguing with the outcome, and this is the part that most people miss. What changes your reality isn't endless effort, it's coherence, alignment between thought, emotion, and identity. When your mind says one thing, but your body feels fear, when your affirmations sound bright, but your nervous system is bracing for disappointment, you're broadcasting mixed signals. The field responds to the dominant signal, which is often the one you feel, not the one you say. Consider this carefully. Your life right now, your circumstances, patterns, recurring frustrations, even the opportunities you do or don't notice, reflects your dominant internal state more accurately than most people want to admit. The quantum field is impartial. It doesn't judge. It doesn't reward you for good intentions or punish you for doubts. It mirrors your consistent frequency. So if you want different external results, your task is not to strive harder outwardly, it's to shift your inner coherence so it matches the reality you insist is already done. This is the quantum shortcut, not because it avoids action, but because it collapses unnecessary struggle. Think of it like tuning a radio dial. The station already exists. You don't create the broadcast. You adjust your frequency until you match the signal you want. Once you match it, the music becomes clear. That's what alignment is. And it's why manifestation is less an act of creation and more an act of calibration. This understanding changes your relationship with life. It frees you from the illusion that you must earn your desires through suffering. It dissolves the myth that your dreams require relentless urgency. It returns you to your real power, conscious, coherent observation. The moment you realize your role isn't to force the universe to respond, but to align so clearly and consistently with the reality you've chosen, that response becomes automatic. The shift is immediate. Of course, many people resist this at first because it defies conventional logic. Our society is built on the idea that effort equals reward, that you must struggle to deserve. Quantum reality points to something different. Coherence creates resonance, and resonance shapes experience. The field doesn't respond to strain, it responds to vibration. And that's why someone can work hard for years, yet remain stuck in the same loop, while another person seems to glide into doors opening at the perfect moment. It's not moral superiority. It's not luck. It's alignment. So now the obvious question arises. Okay, this makes sense, but how do I actually do it? What does quantum manifestation look like in everyday life? Let's make it practical, clear, and simple so you can start noticing shifts without confusion or guesswork. The quantum manifestation process can be summarized in 3 core steps, not as rigid rules, but as a clean structure that trains your mind and nervous system to live from the outcome. Step 1. Choose your desired reality as if it already exists. This is the foundation, and it's where most people stumble. They picture their desires as future scenes. Someday I'll be loved, someday I'll be free, someday I'll succeed. Even if the image is vivid, the framing is still future, which keeps the desire at arm's length. Quantum manifestation begins differently. You choose with clarity, but you choose from ownership. Not, I hope this happens, but this is the reality I am selecting. Well, friend, that doesn't mean you need to know every detail or control how it arrives. It means you get clear on the end state, the essence, the feeling tone of the life you're choosing. You're not trying to predict the route. You're choosing the destination. For example, rather than obsessing over a specific job title, you choose the end state: meaningful work, financial stability, respect, creative expression, peace in your body. Rather than fixating on one person, you choose the end state: devotion, emotional safety, shared values, warmth, consistency. You choose the reality that matches your deepest truth, not your anxious grasping. And you choose it as something real, not as fantasy, not as maybe. Because selection is different from wishing. Wishing is passive longing. Selection is identity-based commitment. When you select, something inside you begins to reorganize around that decision. Your nervous system gets a new instruction. Your attention starts filtering for different evidence. Your body begins loosening its grip on old timelines. But to make step 1 truly work, you must do one thing most people avoid. You must let go of the identity that needs proof before it can relax. The version of you who demands certainty from the outside will always feel unstable. The version of you who can hold certainty on the inside becomes a magnet. And that leads naturally into step 2 and step 3, where you embody the chosen reality and stabilize it until it becomes your default. Because choosing is powerful, but embodying is what collapses the wave. The good news is that you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to never doubt. You don't need to force positivity. You simply need to practice returning again and again to the end state you've chosen, until it becomes more familiar than the old story. And that's where manifestation stops being something you do occasionally and becomes something you live. Close your eyes and begin by clearly defining your desired outcome, not as something you hope to reach one day, but from the perspective of having already lived it. This distinction matters more than it may seem at first. If your goal is financial abundance, for example, do not imagine yourself struggling your way toward wealth at some distant point in the future. Instead, Place yourself fully into the version of you who is already living in abundance right now. See your life from the inside of that reality. Notice the environments you inhabit, the choices you make without hesitation, the way money feels neutral and supportive rather than stressful or scarce. Feel the satisfaction in your body. Sense the quiet confidence, the ease, the unforced joy that comes from knowing your needs are met and your life is supported. This is not a what-if exercise. This is not fantasy. You are not rehearsing a dream that may or may not arrive. You are manifesting from a place of, this is already mine. That single shift from hoping to owning is the first crucial turning point in backward manifestation. The quantum field does not respond to longing, it responds to identity. From here, move into step 2. Completely identify with this reality. This is where the process becomes deeply transformative. Shift from wanting to embodying. Instead of internally repeating, I want to be wealthy, let the affirmation arise naturally as, I am already wealthy. But do not rush this, or treat it as a surface-level mantra. The words themselves are not the power. The resonance behind them is, as you accept this identity, notice what happens in your body. Observe your posture. Does your chest lift slightly? Does your breathing deepen? Does tension begin to release from your shoulders, your jaw, your belly? These physical cues matter because your body is the gateway to coherence. When your nervous system begins to settle into the frequency of having, your entire system starts to reorganize around that truth. This is not about pretending or lying to yourself. It is about anchoring into the emotional and energetic reality of the outcome you have chosen. When you do this sincerely, your brain begins to form new neural pathways that correspond to this identity. Your nervous system stops scanning for danger or lack and starts operating from safety and sufficiency. You are no longer broadcasting uncertainty. You are broadcasting fulfillment, confidence, and gratitude, the precise signals the quantum field responds to most efficiently. Take a moment to do this right now. Choose one clear, specific reality, not 10, not everything at once, just one. Feel it deeply. What emotions arise when you inhabit it fully? Perhaps gratitude, relief, freedom, stability, contentment, or quiet joy. Identify these feelings clearly and allow yourself to stay with them. Do not rush. This is where the real selection happens. Quantum reality is chosen emotionally first, then reflected physically later. Now move into step 3. Release control completely and allow the quantum field to respond. This is often the most challenging step, not because it is complicated, but because it requires you to relinquish habits built over a lifetime. Let go of controlling how your outcome will unfold. Release attachment to specific paths, people, timelines, or methods. The quantum field thrives in openness. It works through infinite intelligence and pathways far beyond what your conscious mind can plan. The how has never been your responsibility. Your role is coherence. The orchestration belongs to the field. Think of this like planting a seed. Once the seed is in the ground, you do not dig it up every day to check its progress. You water the soil, ensure the environment is supportive, and trust nature's intelligence to do what it has always done. Manifestation works the same way. When you constantly interfere with doubt, micromanagement, and anxious checking, you disrupt the natural unfolding. When you trust, you create space. Releasing control does not mean giving up. It means embracing uncertainty with curiosity rather than fear. It means allowing outcomes to surprise you, rather than insisting they conform to your limited expectations. When you release control, you stop blocking possibilities that are greater, faster, or more elegant than anything you could design. This is where synchronicities appear. Unexpected opportunities arise. Solutions show up from directions you never anticipated. Effortless coincidences begin to stack. Quantum manifestation feels simple because it is simple. It does not rely on force, it relies on alignment and surrender. When your dominant frequency is grounded in a clearly embodied outcome and sustained by trust, infinite potential collapses naturally into tangible reality. Here is a practical daily exercise you can begin immediately. Each morning, before you get out of bed, bring your awareness to your chosen reality, not as a future goal, but as a present fact. Internally affirm, I am already living my ideal reality. Feel what that truth does to your body. Ask yourself how your day would unfold if this were already true. Notice the decisions you would make, the tone of your interactions, the ease with which you move through challenges. Spend just a few minutes here, then release it completely. Let it go. Throughout the day, when doubt arises and do not fight it, simply remind yourself gently, it's already done. You do not need to recreate the feeling every time. Just reconnect briefly with certainty, then continue forward with relaxed expectation. Over time, this state becomes your baseline. You become less reactive and more magnetic. Your external reality begins to reorganize around this coherence without strain. Opportunities come to you rather than you chasing them. Relationships deepen naturally. Problems resolve with surprising ease, not because life is suddenly perfect, but because you are no longer pushing from fear or desperation. Life mirrors back your trust. If this feels revolutionary, it should. It contradicts much of what you've been taught, yet it is deeply aligned with quantum principles. Your life becomes effortless not because you stop participating, but because you stop resisting. Quantum manifestation is not about doing more. It is about getting out of your own way and letting infinite intelligence handle the details. As we move forward, this understanding deepens even further. You will encounter an advanced technique known as backcasting, a powerful way to align yourself even more precisely with your desired reality. It is one of the most effective tools for collapsing timelines quickly and cleanly. But before that, reflect on moments in your life when something extraordinary happened only after you stopped trying so hard. Perhaps it was a relationship that arrived when you had let go, a job opportunity that appeared after you surrendered, an insight that came when you stopped forcing answers. At the time, you may have called it luck or timing, but what if it was alignment? What if it was the quantum field responding to your release? This is the quantum reversal, the moment logic and control soften into trust. The realization that doing more often blocks what you want and being more aligned is what attracts it. You have already lived this dynamic, even if you didn't have language for it. Every time you truly let go and things fell into place, you were manifesting at the quantum level. The field does not respond to striving, it responds to resonance. It does not move because you demand it. It aligns because you are aligned. Most miraculous changes occur when the nervous system settles into, I already have it, and the external world follows suit. This is not magic, it is coherence. And here is what makes this moment powerful. You are no longer engaging with manifestation as a theory, you are embodying it now. Your body is listening, your frequency is shifting, the field is responding, all because you chose alignment over force. This is not just a mental decision, it is a state change. Take a moment and let that land. When you choose to manifest backward, you are declaring that you are done living from lack. You are stepping into the identity of someone who receives. This choice alone carries enormous power because it comes from embodiment, not need. Remember this, the quantum field does not need your effort, it needs your frequency. Every aligned thought, breath, and feeling sends ripples far beyond what you can see. As you continue forward, you will learn how backcasting works as a legitimate timeline technique, not a gimmick, but a method grounded in quantum logic. Often, the difference between consistent manifestors and chronic strivers comes down to this single approach. You did not arrive here by accident. You were guided by resonance. Manifestation has never been about striving harder. It has always been about aligning deeper. When you stop chasing and start becoming, the universe responds differently. You are no longer asking, you are collapsing timelines. The quantum field does not respond to pressure, urgency, or force. It responds to coherence. And now you know how simple, elegant, and powerful that coherence truly is. Your future is not waiting for you, it already exists, and you have begun living from it.